Hey YouTube, welcome to Beyond the Hype, and in this video we are going to figure out whether Togekiss is worth that number 7 ranking, really the number 6 Pokemon, because Empoleon is at 3 and 4. So is it the 6th best Pokemon in the Great League, and why has it risen up in the rankings so much? Let's go over the analytical part, and then we'll go over the gameplay, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it, on how to play it, and its strengths and weaknesses. So, as you can see here, it is the number 7 ranked Pokemon with Peck, Aura Sphere, and Dazzling Gleam. Aura Sphere was the Community Day move when this Pokemon had its Community Day, but not a lot of people used it. It was nice that it provided you coverage, but it just, because it didn't have a fast move, it mostly relied on its Charm fast move, that it was kind of useless because you just weren't getting to it enough, so it wasn't making that much of damage. It was a Charm user, right? So it was a Charm user that just focused on its fast move damage. So it still has Charm, but it now has Peck. And Peck, much like a lot of the other fast moves that I have covered, Dragon Tail, and what else did I cover? Metal Sound. So all these are 3 damage per turn, 4 energy per turn moves, which make them like decent, not amazing damage, but like okay damage, and then like good energy charging. And what that allows you to do with this Pokemon is get to these charge moves much faster now. So you're not playing Togekiss as a Charmer anymore. You're playing it as like a Pokemon that can just kind of spam charge moves. Now you have a bunch of options for charge moves. I use the recommended move set of Aura Sphere and Dazzling Gleam. Aura Sphere as a community move seems almost like a must, but you know, I think you can get away with Psyshock Dazzling Gleam if you really wanted to. But Aura Sphere gives you 2 things. One, it gives you a Hydro Cannon clone, 40 energy for 80 damage. You don't get same type attack bonus on this, but that is okay when you're charging at a rate of 10. Spamming a move just 80 at a rate of 10 is great. What it also gives you is, more importantly, the cover move. You are going to have problems with steals. So being able to throw a super effective move at steals where Peck and Dazzling Gleam or Psyshock are resisted gives you a lot of play. And just because the Peck damage, because it's an 80 damage move and the Peck damage is not inconsequential because you get same type attack bonus on it, a lot of times you were able just to go Peck or Sphere, combo that twice and take out opponents. And that is very valuable to be able to take out opponents in a spam of like 10 and 10 there. What also makes you helpful is your sort of stats in your typing. So stats are not anything amazing, but they're not bad either, right? So they're just like a middle-ish attacker, middle-ish defense, lower-ish stamina, but overall the stamina defense combo means that you can take charge moves without having to worry about being one shot, but the attack isn't high enough that you're not going to go like Peck Aura Sphere or Peck Dazzling Gleam. Like those are very rarely going to one shot, but now you have that spam to be able to go double Aura Sphere. Typing is an interesting one. So you have 5 weaknesses and 6 resistances. So at times it can potentially maybe feel like, I don't want to call it RPS, but it just could feel like a alignment dependent. So you're weak to electric, ice, poison, rock, and steel. Now I mentioned 3 of those 5 weaknesses are weak to Aura Sphere, and that is why Togekiss feels way better, and a lot of the top content creators have already used it and said like this thing's going to be a beast. And it's because 3 of your 5 weaknesses in rock, steel, and ice you can now hit super effective with the Aura Sphere. Now poison and electric are the other 2. Poison, I know Home Slice used Psyshock, and the reason you would use Psyshock is if you used Aura Sphere, Dazzling Gleam, both of those moves are resisted on poison, so you'd have no charge move. So using a Psyshock allows you to get to a super effective move faster than Dazzling Gleam and gives you coverage for those poisons. I still think Dazzling Gleam is better, and here's the reason why. Yes, because Peck does 3.6 damage. It's called 75% of the time in the Great League. If Aura Sphere is neutral, with that assumption, if Aura Sphere is neutral, 75% of times you will be able to go that with Peck. However, there's going to be some Pokemon in this meta that are just too bulky, where even if Aura Sphere is neutral, you won't be able to take it out with 2 moves. So if you want to go that route, you then need to take it out with 3 moves. So I don't think adding a Psyshock, which at the same energy and less damage, is going to help you there. But getting to a Dazzling Gleam in 14 turns, which does 108 damage, then all of a sudden you have the ability to take out stuff in 2 moves, almost no matter what you throw, whether it be double Dazzling Gleam and Aura Sphere, or double, again, a Dazzling Gleam and Aura Sphere, or double Dazzling Gleam. So I think that is pretty strong. Resistances, double resisting 4 things. Double resisting Bug, Dragon, Fighting, and Ground. And you know what? There's a good amount of Ground and some Fighting in the meta. Dragons got buffed. You know, they got buffed. Some got nerfed. So I don't know how prevalent they're going to be. And then Bug got buffed previous seasons too. So a lot of nice resistances. So this Pokemon did play well. The team I used, you're going to see a couple variations of this team. But basically I used a Safe Swap and Dusclops and Stunfisk in the back, sort of to cover some of those weaknesses. You are double weak to Ice on this team. So I did actually use Galarian Stunfisk the first time around because I'm like, I don't want that double Ice weakness. But then when I used it, I'm like, oh, this Mudshot nerf, I don't care that Rock Slide got buffed. You do feel this Mudshot nerf on Galarian Stunfisk. So then I switched to Unova Stunfisk, again, mostly to deal with the rock users, you know, some fire flying that will resist the Dazzling Gleam Aura Sphere, right? So your Charizards and your Talonflames that will resist the Fighting Fairy, so giving you a little bit of coverage there despite the double Ice weakness. Again, there's not a lot of Ice right now in this meta. That may change as we go on depending on what the meta becomes. Okay, let's take a look at it in action. Charjabug, Electric. We're going to immediately get out into our Dusclops here, met with a Dugong. This is not the worst case scenario. It's neutral at best here. The only concern is Dugong is very bulky, and if it starts to just lower your attack here, which here comes the first Icy Wind, you will now, when you get onto your like 3rd or 4th Shadow Punch here, your attack is potentially 2 times lower, and you are not a hard-hitting Pokemon to begin with, so it is not going to add up much on Dugong. So I'm trying to just throw these right on as soon as I get to the move, just because I know that an Icy Wind is coming. It's going to lower my attack. And the only good news here is Dusclops is 1, tanky, 2, super spammy. Super spammy. So we are going to get to this Shadow Punch again here because of the speed, 9996 to get to these Shadow Punches, able to grab a shield. Now, double weak to Ice here. Because they have the Charjabug on the lead, I figured it was better to come in Togekiss and just basically sacrifice it. Do get hit with the Icy Wind, but that's fine. The pecks, again, do add up. That if the Charjabug comes in, I thought that Stunfisk with a resisted Thunder Shock and just a neutral Mud Bomb would not take out Charjabug as easy as you'd want it to. So do that. And unfortunately, I get hit with a Quagsire. So this is a pretty close, not hard counter, because the mid game was sort of neutralish, but you lose the lead really hard against an Electric, and you lose the back really hard against a Mud Boy. So even if there's almost no win con here for me, but we'll look at Togekiss having more play in some of these other matchups for sure. But this happens, right? This is the problem with the meta. And I've mentioned this in my maybe first video I posted on Wednesday with the new rankings. Sure, Dragons have gone down because of it, and Fairies have gone down a bit. But if you look at the meta is the same as last season with more viable Pokemon. So we've maybe lost like 7 Pokemon. Like you're going to see less Jumpluffs. I use Ferret, so that's not even out of there, but there'll be less Jumpluffs. I have seen Superior, but you may replace your Superior with like Venusaur and stuff like that. But there's like 7 to 10 more usable Pokemon, probably even more usable Pokemon like Togekiss, Empoleon, some of these other dragons that were not viable last season. So you are going to have a meta of like 80 Pokemon that you may see, which means that you just need to be aware that even if you think you have a safe team, you could just get hard countered constantly. Not that this is a safe team, but just be aware that the meta is so wide, you're going to see a lot of different variety of typings of Pokemon. Okay, Fury Cutter, resisted. Togekiss, again, the stamina and defense are not bad, but it's not like you can take a ton of moves here. So even though Fury Cutter is resisted on the Fairy and Flying, so very resisted fast move, and this is a non-Shadow Gligar, 2 Aerial Aces are still basically going to take you out. So that can kind of get, and my AVs are pretty good, right? 0, 11, 14, 1500 CP. So that kind of limits you to a certain extent. So just be aware of that. But here is your first time landing Aura Sphere and almost one shots the Typhlosion. And because the peck, again, the peck is not exactly, that is not a bad move. 3.6 damage per turn is decent chip. Able to take this to 1 HP. I will shield up the Blast Burn, assuming that that's going to be the hardest hitting thing I see. Lapras comes in, so I'm going to instant swap. My only concern is like, don't let Lapras get too far ahead on energy, because then you can just maybe get 2 Sparkling Arias out, and this Pokemon won't have a lot of play. But if I can like chip with the Thundershocks and grab 1 shield or 2 shields, I'm in a good spot. If I grab no shields, that's even better, because that damage is going to do way more than the Dusclops is going to do. So we'll grab 1 shield here, or else I'm going to take them out, but the Thundershocks are adding up. So even if they get the Sparkling Aria off, and even if they come out with energy, it's not going to matter. They basically put themselves into Shadow Punch range, and the spam on Dusclops is going to be great. So, Togekiss, not great for taking the Aerial Aces and almost being taken out there. Had to burn a shield, but again, an 80 damage move with decent peck damage makes this Pokemon just very, very viable for the Great League. Is it the number 6 ranked Pokemon overall? I don't know. Let's play this out a bit more, because I remember this Charizard matchup, because this Charizard had Dragon Breath. If this was an Ember Charizard, I borderline leave immediately. I probably do leave immediately, just because I have no charge moves. But a Dragon Breath Charizard is not bad, because you double resist the Dragon because you are Fairy. As you're seeing here, Charizard is so glassy, and these pecks have put it to 50% health. So I'm just going straight Aura Sphere, which is resisted, because it's still an 80 damage move. So even resisted to a Shadow Charizard takes out. So I just won. Again, if it was a Ember, I'd probably leave that. I just beat a Dragon Breath Charizard, just going straight Aura Sphere in the 1 shield, coming out with a lot of health that I'm now getting off my second Aura Sphere against a Steel Pokemon that I would otherwise not have a move for. So yes, Peck is resisted, but I just grabbed that second shield on Corviknight here. They did throw an Air Cutter, but that's not going to do a lot. This is what I'm saying about Corviknight. If you good against something that resists payback, it does not feel good with this Air Cutter. There we go. I just got off 3 Aura Spheres because Corviknight cannot take me out with 2 Air Cutters, because they didn't get the attack boost, and Sand Attack's resisted, and Payback is resisted. I essentially just took that to 1 HP. So Togekiss took out a Charizard and got Corviknight to 1 HP. Now, got the Stunfisk gun here, Mud Bomb, and then with a shield advantage, just take the damage on this Dusclops, and this matchup is over. Superior, great lead. I'm flying. I have a super effective fast move. They get out into Marowak. This is still a Mud Slap. And this is me just kind of like, again, could you just go Aura Sphere and chip it and go Dusclops? Yes. I'm just going Dazzling Gleam because I just want to see, again, when I play early in the season and I haven't used a lot of these Pokemon or the moves, I just test out different ways of playing with them. So you probably saw that in my Kanto Ninetales video this morning. If you watch that, do you just go Ember Weather Ball, or do you just Overheat, Nuke, and Bail? Like, I play both options. Same with this one. It's like, do you just go Aura Sphere, or how much does a Dazzling Gleam do? Dazzling Gleam, same type of attack bonus, is a harder hitting move, only 2 extra fast turns to get to. How much does it do? So I kind of test out these different things. Dazzling Gleam almost one-shots a Marowak there. Like, that's good to know, that if you had some chip on the Marowak, you would be close to taking it out. Unfortunately for my opponent, it is just a hard counter team. There's nothing they can do there. But here we go. Mirror matches. What do you do here? Mirror matches is where Psyshock would be better. They actually catch a Dazzling Gleam, so kind of risky, but really nice catch there. I will just come in here. It is a non-Shadow Empoleon, which maybe yeah, you know what? This is one where maybe the Shadow would have made a difference, because I think a Shadow Empoleon takes out Dusclops in 2 Hydros, but the non-Shadow is going to be very close whether this actually takes me out. In fact, am I going to shield anyways? I'm going to shield anyways. I maybe could have lived with like 1 HP, but I'm just going to confirm, just make sure I don't go down. I have energy. And if Togekiss, oh no, and they're going to have a Dazzling Gleam to take me out. This is dumb. I don't remember letting this go. I'm going to lose this matchup. Yeah. Coming here, I don't know what's in the back yet. In the back is a Carbink. So nice answer here. But the only problem with Stunfisk, and I never liked using Stunfisk, is it's such a bad hitting Pokemon. So that is a super effective Mud Bomb, not even doing 50% of the damage on Carbink. Carbink is so tanky. And despite having just a resisted Rock Throw, it took me to 50% because the Moonblast took me over 50 and it lowered my attack. So now it's even borderline whether this move takes out. Yeah, and so now this Mud Bomb, which should take 3 out of 3, is not going to take out. Making this a terrible, terrible matchup in the long run. So now I lost it. So I came in here thinking I don't care about the Rock Throws. I need to get to some moves to threaten the other Togekiss here, which is ahead on shields and energy. So now they win CMP. So I'm like, okay, I just got to kind of Thundershock down and come out with some moves. But, losing that. Oh, I do live. Oh, yeah. Aura Sphere is resisted on the Fairy and the Flying, so it's not surprising that this does almost nothing to the Togekiss. So now it puts it in Thundershock range, but if they get a move off here, I have to shield because I'm already in the yellow, and they are close to a Moonblast. And if they didn't lower my attack with the Moonblast, they would have been taken out already because I've already landed 3 Mud Bombs on them, so I would have won this matchup. But because they lowered my attack and did not take out, they're going to get to a move here with 1 HP to take me out here, so kind of unfortunate. The Moonblast did lower my attack here, really cost me here in the back. Giratina. So they leave, I think just kind of worried about being a Charmer. I came in here because Metal Sound, Steel is resisted on Electric. So yes, Hydro Cannon is super effective on the ground, but I have super effective Thunder Shocks and super effective Mud Bombs and Discharge, both are going to take out because the Thunder Shocks are adding up a lot. I know I'm going to potentially get outpaced here. Does it matter? I think I can, even from a Shadow Empoleon, I think I can live this, even though it's super effective. So I made double shield here, but I still think I live. Or am I going to let go? I let go. And I still live with a couple HP, which is huge. And then they come and catch on the Giratina. Into my Togekiss. They've already burnt both shields. I have not burnt any yet. And I get to the Dazzling Gleam and stab. Hard-hitting move against the Dragon. That's going to one-shot. So they may come Empoleon and take me out here. Then I'll need to make a decision what I want to do here. But instead they did just go Charizard, which is an Ember Charizard. So I'm just going to try and throw here. Yeah. If it's Blast Burn, I'll be taken out. If it's just Air Cutter, I'll live. I don't know what the moves on Charizard are. I know what the moves are. I just don't know how fast it is with Ember. But I do get to an Aura Sphere. Resisted. Does not matter. Does good chip. I assume I let this go because I would be much more scared of a Blast Burn than I am a Hydro. And get to 2 Shadow Punches here. So I will be able to go back to back here and take out. Charizard lead again. If it is Ember, again, I'm much more likely to bail. So it is Ember. I don't bail. Just maybe I think I've just kind of seen how much do these pecks do, and can I just go double Aura Sphere even with a Ember Charizard? Almost thankfully they get into Dunsparce here. Yes, the rollouts are super effective. And I'm kind of in a tricky spot here, so I may have to just stay in this matchup and chip a bit more and take the move. Drill Run is super effective on Stunfisk. Hex and Shadow Punch are resisted on the double resisted on the Ghost. So I almost had no choice but to stay in, and I'm still going to have to take a move here, which is okay. Non-stab Drill Run from a Dunsparce is going to chip, but it's not really going to threaten too much on a Stunfisk. I don't want to take another one, though. That's for sure. So I'm taking it out here. It'll come down to what's in the back. And unfortunately for me, it is a Marowak in the back. Charizard has energy, and this is when I was using, this is why I actually changed the team. I was using Dusclops first. Not Dusclops. Dusknoir first, but it needs shields too. And Togekiss, not that Togekiss needs shields, but it is more on the glassier side in the grand scheme of things. So I had to burn a shield here, and then I'm going to lose this matchup. And I think this is the last matchup because if I remember, I only used one of this, and Oh no, I got one more. Did I use it a couple times? Yeah, maybe I used it a couple times um, before the Dusclops. I also remember using Galarian Stunfisk once. So maybe we're getting Galarian Stunfisk with Dust Noir because Galarian Stunfisk is a little more bulky. I forget which one. I forget which the other battle is here that you're gonna see. Togekiss into Gyarados. So Dragon Breath is resisted. This is nice. No, still the Unova Stunfisk, but the Dusk Noir. So staying in this matchup mostly because I don't know what to do here. So I thought chipping with Peck and then catching here is the best way because if I came behind on energy, that would be tough. But I feel like Dusclops just has a little more play, even though it's way lower ranked than Dust Noir. I don't really care. I think Dusclops is better. I think it's underranked. I've kind of already gone over that. So they will get to another move here. I'm going to shield thinking I can Thundershock down. And if I get Thundershock down and come out with energy, Gyarados is double weak to electric, so they're not going to have a good time if they come back in. Which I think I remember them coming back in and shielding here. Yeah, so they do come in. I do get off the discharge. Double super effective, so they do shield this. And I think Gyarados is just so spammy enough that it gets to an Aqua Tail here. Yeah, so even though I'm only 6 away, Gyarados with that Dragon Breath getting to these Aqua Tails very quickly. But that's okay. I keep alignment. I always have a move. They're not getting out, so I'm just going to throw this, force a shield, or take them out. And I do take them out, and what's in the back? It is a Steelix, so I am throwing the Solar Sphere to grab a shield or do great chip damage. And either way, Dust Noir at this point in the back should win, just going to Dynamic Punch and maybe one more. Astonish is the move on Dust Noir. So I take a move. Unfortunately, it is the crunch, so this makes me a little closer than I wanted it to be, but still live comfortably enough to get this Dynamic Punch off. Not enough to take out, but one more Astonish does take it out for the win. So yes, Togekiss is way better. Is it a top Pokemon? I think so. I think it gives you a couple things that it feels like this is Gligar of previous seasons. Now, not as bulky, but your fast move before the wing attack got nerfed, the fast move is doing good chip damage with the same type of attack bonus Peck here. You have the cover move that Gligar used to have. I mean, still has it in Dig, but you have this Aura Sphere, which is like a Hydro Cannon clone, chipping great, and you still have a hard-hitting Dazzling Gleam there. And I would argue that I'm not so worried about the Fairy anymore. Like the Fairy, if anything, to me is its weakness. There's a lot of poisons. There's Empoleon with like Metal Sound and Steels coming up. So if anything, I think the Fairy is a weakness. But flying, I think our flyers this season took a big hit. The main flyers out there, yes, there's Corviknight as a number 1 ranker, but the main flyers are dragons, right? You have Dragonite. Gyarados isn't a dragon, but it has Dragon Breath with it. It is water flying. And then there's Altaria here. But like the other flyers from the previous seasons, Galarian Moltres, down at 131, worried about all those steals that resist all your charge moves and worried about the fairies that are everywhere now and the rock throw users, right? Your Bastiodon and your Carboncle out there a lot more. Galarian Moltres can be used a lot less as a flyer. Your Jumpluff, the highest ranked is a Shadow Jumpluff at 207. Mandibuzz as the other flying dark is same reason, scared. So your main flyers from last season are gone. Yes, there's Murkrow now. Gligar still here. If you want to go Dodrio as like a spicier one, you can. But for the most part, this meta is missing flying type Pokemon. So having Togekiss as a half flyer, I think is actually quite valuable in this meta. So between its half flying typing, between the Aura Sphere that's a Hydro Cannon mirror that gives you the cover for the steals, and just having a Dazzling Gleam, I think it does make it a very, very viable Pokemon. Again, rankings are subjective. Again, this is the ranking in the even energy one shield scenario. So do I consider it the 6th best Pokemon in the meta? Again, all that is very subjective. Like I think for me, I like the Pokemon that like feel safe and give you broader coverage. So like Lapras is 11. I like Lapras at 11. I like Jellicent at 17 this season. I think Marowak at 22 in the multiple shield scenario, that's the non-shadow. But the Marowak at 22 in different shield scenarios is very strong. So I haven't even tried Scizor yet, but Scizor is going to wipe through Carbinks and Togekiss and a few dragons and stuff like that. So I haven't even done Scizor yet this season. I think it's still going to have a ton of play. So is it number 6 ranked Pokemon overall? Maybe not. But is it still going to be a top 15 Pokemon? I think, yeah, I do think it is, just because of everything else that it has going for it. So let me know your thoughts about Togekiss if you have used it. I know a couple people, I know obviously the content creators have. I know a couple you have. I have seen it in the comments and in my Discord comments. That a couple you have used it successfully. So, maybe if everyone's having success with it, this is one Pokemon you'll need to build to beat. But, again, super effective Bullet Punch Scizor from a Shadow is probably going to rip through this very quickly. May have to shield up one Aura Sphere, but it's going to rip through this input. So, I think there's going to be, I think your Rock Throw users and stuff like that, I think there's going to be a lot of answers for this, but definitely has some nice coverage with that Aura Sphere. Anyways, that is it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.